All right, so time again, time for the solo overnight in the woods. And I'm thinking we have a lot to talk about, a lot to do, so enough yapping, let's get to it. All right, so here we are. Now, for those that don't know, and you missed last week's video, here's the thumbnail, go back and check it out. It's important because we're in the same general location. And I like this spot because it's adjacent to the new property that I had talked about. It finally closed and we have access to another 100 acres on this side over here. We currently film on this 100 acres and it literally butts up right to that property. And that piece of property is important for several reasons. And we'll get into that later this evening. It can't get much simpler than that. That thing is actually solid where it stands. Two Y branches intersecting a long pole. Simply place your tarp over top of this and stake it out. Now, one added security measure you can do is get two Y branches and turn them into basically L's or 7s and stake them on each leg and in the back. And this thing's guaranteed never to move. Now the next evolution here is I want to make a wattle fence. That's an old school medieval fence made out of vertical posts in the ground and horizontal woven sticks. And you go in and out, in and out, in and out on one side, flip it around, and do the exact opposite. In and out, in and out, in and out. And then slowly it climbs up to the height of your fence posts. Now that's one thing I've never done in my videos. I've done it messing around. It looks like a basket, but I've never done it for an actual shelter. So we're going to attempt that today, and we're going to do it in the form of a backstop for, say, a fire pit. At some point, you can come back here and actually put the daub in there, wattle and daub. That's where you add the clay and the hay and rocks and leaves and whatever. But that's a different video. That's very time consuming, and we'll spend an entire video just doing that. So far so good, we're looking outstanding. Now the one thing you didn't see me do is actually take a flat rock and shove it underneath those coals, and I piled a bunch more wood on top of that. We're gonna superheat that rock and then cook our chow. And there you have it. Corporal's Corner double cheeseburger cooked on a rock. Man. There's always something better about cooking over coals, especially on a rock, a superheated rock. Catch you all in a few. First things first, my Rode mic just took a dump. This is the third one I've gone through in about 18 months, so about every 6 months. And I'm buying them off Amazon. They're brand new in a sealed package. But what tends to happen is, I guess because I use it so often, the battery's not going to hold a charge anymore or hold it like it used to. It used to last for probably 2 or 3 days. And now I'm out here maybe 4 or 5 hours, and I look at it, we got 1/3 gone. Another 4 hours, 1/3. Right now we're approaching about 10, 11 hours I've been out here, and the battery's gone. So I've noticed that battery drain, but it's only been 6 months. So if anybody knows a different company or a better company, let me know. And I mean better as in what I do. I don't want to pick up airplanes. I don't want background noise. I want it to cancel out and only pick me up when I'm talking. When I'm not talking, pick up nature, campfires, things like that. So if you know something like that I can get off Amazon or get quickly, hit me up in the comment section and let me know. Because right now I have no idea if you can even hear me or not. And just looking at the battery, this is my third battery. I only bring 3 out with me. It's already 2/3 gone. Yeah, well, there it goes again. So right now it's about 20%. So it's just quickly just going away. Yeah, I just went back and checked that clip, and I can barely hear myself talk, and I got the thing all the way up. So hopefully you can hear me. You can just raise your volume up. I'm going to get a ton of comments. Couldn't hear you. Well, I know you couldn't hear me. I'm explaining it right now. So you probably can't hear me. And we're draining the battery. So next thing on the topic list here is that wattle fence. I learned a lot doing that. My first time doing that in a video. I know now that if I want to go ahead and build one between 5 and 6 foot in height, I need at least a 9-foot post, and it needs to be in that ground probably 2.5 to 3 foot, because the tension on those poles back and forth has actually caused them to move, and they're in the ground probably a good 8 or 9 inches, and it's actually pulling them out of the ground. So I know for a fact that we need to be, embedded in there to where it's secure and no loose soil or, wet soil conditions. Next thing I learned from this is, if you notice, I put a slight curvature in it because I want to see if I can actually get that roundness to it, and it worked out well. The one thing we did not do is splices. Now, I went with 8-foot poles in here, and those were hard to find that were straight. So the straighter the better, but I think if I cut them down to, say, 3 to 4 foot, I can get probably 4 poles and then just cut it off, add a splice to it on the back end, like do the opposite, so the starts and stops aren't in the same spot. Like go this way and then go that way it's going to stop over here and they'll just overlap like that. Same kind of idea or concept when you do welding. You don't ever want your starts and stops to be in the same spot when it overlaps, so you want to stagger those. Same idea here. But this is going to come into play in future videos, probably about 2 or 3 months from now. And now for the million-dollar question, what's next? Here's my answer. Those that follow me religiously on YouTube, make sure you follow me on Facebook and Instagram as well. I have 2 Facebook pages and 1 Instagram page. Go there and follow me. The links are in my video description box. I'm posting teasers I did all last week, and I will this week as well, of what's coming next. Some have guessed it, most have not. And it's in the area of cookware. It's something that I'm fond of, something I used in my early days. And, you know, I've worked at various places, and I've mulled around and tossed around different ideas with stuff. All been met with, you know, we don't need this, or we don't need that, or that's, you know, too far-fetched, it's too complicated. Or the classic, get out of here, son, you bother me. So I'm like, okay. So all those ideas I've been producing on my own and been successful. And I'm going to continue to do so. So on that note, once again, follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And by next Sunday, I'm going to announce what we have, and I'm going to drop it. So those that are interested in what I'm doing, just continue following me and be ready next Sunday. This whole battery on the Rode microphone thing has pissed me off because I had a whole thing planned. We're actually going to walk that other property. I mentioned that we're right now on the border of that new property. Now, this was purchased by a friend of mine, and he added it to his other 100 acres. There's an adjacent property that's landlocked way over there. And rumor has it, allegedly, there's been several, and I'll say this with a smirk, skinwalker sightings. Now, I'm the biggest skeptic in the world for everything, including conspiracy theories. I like to see it. I want to test it. I like to do empirical research, meaning testing it over and over and over again. Am I going to get the same result? If it deviates left, right, or up or down, those are variables, and it's not consistent. It's like the whole ghosts. People say, oh my, how are you out there? Oh my God, it gets dark, aren't you scared? And I say no, because if there really were ghosts roaming the woods, why would they be stuck in the woods? Why wouldn't they roam towns? Why wouldn't they roam highways? People say, well, they do. Okay, well then why is it always at night on some foggy road somewhere where the fog drifts over the cemetery and then they see something that resembles something or an abandoned building somewhere? If that were the case, they'd be flooding the world. And it'd be high noon and you see, oh look, there's a ghost walking across the street. And you'd see it all the time. Same with Bigfoot. Like I said, I'm the biggest skeptic in the world. Bigfoot's not like, all right, so in 1991 we could launch Patriot missiles and we could actually see a grapefruit on the ground and fly them through the windows with 1990s technology. But they can't see me and can't find me. Okay, right. So those kind of things, I'm kind of like, really? You know, this whole thing with the UFOs that's going on right now as well, the UAPs, as we call them now, sure, people see things. I'm not doubting anyone. Have I seen it? No. Has a spaceship landed over here? No. You know, alien clowns hopped out? No. Would I like to? I'll be the first one in line. Once I see it, I'll be a true believer. But what I like to do is take my channel every so often in that direction, going out as a complete skeptic. I do not believe in this. Change my mind. And then maybe by the end of my show or broadcast or a few months or a year or two later, maybe I'll be like, you know what? There's something that I can't explain. There's a lot of things in this world that people cannot explain. How were the pyramids built? Where's Atlantis? Things like that, right? Is there a face on Mars? So I enjoy that kind of thing. I always have. I enjoy hearing the stories, watching it, and going out there exploring and getting my own answers. So back to what we're talking about. This would be a good jumping off point. I have a company building my PVS 14s right now. It's going to take a week or two or maybe even 3. And I would like to go out with some game trail cams, set them up, some thermal imagery, and just go and interview people, talk to them off camera. Most of them don't want to be on camera. Get the lay of the land, go out maybe once a month and do bushcraft skills, camp on their property or my property or his property, you know, and jump off from that position. If we got to drive somewhere to a different state, I'm willing to do so. If you have something that you know for a fact is haunted, or there's a monster, or there's sightings of whatever, it's on your personal property, hit me up on Facebook on my messenger, and we can talk business. I would love to do a show like that where I go out, I camp, I take my show, what I currently do, somewhere else, and then we go out at night, set up cameras, and then we see what we can see, right? But yeah, I'm open to new things. On that note, let's go ahead and get out of here. With that, all the gear in my videos can be found in one spot. My website, corporalscorner.com. Now please do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. As always, thank you for your comments, views, and support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm going to catch you next time.